Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanine. Okay, so below the video, there's chapters if you want to jump around. This may be a hefty video here. Let's start with this article here. By the way, if you like any part of this video, please click that like button down below. I humbly ask you, and I would greatly appreciate that. So now we're going to begin here on CoinGape.com. This article is titled XRP Lawsuit Update. Ripple CEO at Davos clears the air over settlement odds with the SEC. So let's scroll up here. And it goes as such. This is on CoinGape.com also, okay? Ripple CEO in an interview with CNBC answered a question about the possibility of settlement with the SEC ahead. Garlinghouse mentioned that they have always said that they would love to settle. However, this deal would depend on a very crucial aspect. Yeah, that's what I thought. There's like certain things that the SEC would have to concede to before there could be a settlement. It says it would depend on a very crucial aspect, which is whether XRP is a security or not. Now, you know, what's interesting is last year when we covered a lot of articles, this is coming from, it was either the lawyers, I think it was from the lawyers, and they were saying that it seemed that the SEC was backing off of going after XRP as a security. XRP is clearly not a security. But what they were doing was they were going after Ripple for certain reasons. All right. That seems like where they were leaning. Of course, they didn't have to commit to that, but that's how it has seemed thus far. So, I mean, in that way, maybe, just maybe the SEC is leaning towards a settlement or something like that, of that nature. Either way, it'd be positive for us as XRP holders. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Let's continue on here. It says he stated that Gary Gensler, SEC chair, and the team have already expressed their views on the digital assets. They believe that almost all crypto is a security. That is so unbelievable. This stance leaves very little space in a Venn diagram made by the SEC for settlement. However, the case is now completely briefed in the court, and judges know, what did it say? Judges know would take, however. Well, okay, I think that was a typo there. Let me just skip that little part of the sentence. It looked like there's a lot of typos right there. It says still, Ripple CEO is trying to stay optimistic and believes that the lawsuit will be resolved in 2023 or maybe in the first half. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for that beginning of February, March time. I'm ready for something explosive to happen. I believe a lot of people out there are also. I can't wait. We're in a beautiful position. So now let's continue on here to this next article, okay? So this article here is from U.Today, and it's titled, Ripple CEO Speaks Out About Hinman Emails in Davos. There's a lot going on in Davos. And you know why? Because there's so many powerful people there. They want all of them to hear this. They want to put this in front of everybody. That's very strategic, brilliant, because those people may be interested and they see the distress call. This is an SOS. All of this that they're saying, in my humble opinion, at Davos is an SOS to say, hey, the time is now. If you want to step in and help us and, you know, put some pressure somewhere within the legacy system, the governments, the central bank system, whatever you got to do. If you can help, now's the time so that we all can make generational wealth. We can make more money than anybody has ever seen before and dominate the world like no one has ever seen before. Let's get this started now. So this is what I see. It's like a flare they're sending off at Davos, right? So let's read this little tidbit here. It says, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse spoke out about recent emails from SEC Director Bill Hinman. Recent emails, okay, which were recently ordered to be turned over to the judge. Interesting. The Ripple executive hinted that they might contain some damning information. Once these documents are eventually made public, they will likely raise more questions about why the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission chose to bring its lawsuit against Ripple, according to Garlinghouse. When those come to light, I think that we will see more kind of like, quote, how is it possible the SEC decided to bring a case against Ripple, given what they were saying within their walls, the Ripple wall said. Okay, then they go into some stuff we already know about, so that's interesting. During the interview, Garlinghouse also acknowledged the reputational damage caused by the FTX collapse and such like that. That I don't care about. Garlinghouse spoke about Ripple having a $1 billion cash pile after the company earned record high revenue despite the lawsuit, which tells you a lot about where everything is heading. They have made sure XRP is involved in almost everything that they do. This is going to be huge. Whenever we can get this up and running, get regulatory clarity, a feeding frenzy, just my humble opinion, a feeding frenzy will commence. You've had millionaires tell you this. You've had billionaires tell you this. You've had the heads of large financial institutions tell you this. Factual. That's facts. That's factual information. So if you have all of these sources and some of them are highly reputable telling you the same thing, and I agree, I believe that. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, sure. Definitely could be wrong. I don't think that we are. I think a feeding frenzy is going to commence. And I'm going to say it again. I know. But repetition is the mother of learning. I firmly believe XRP is going to be rare. They're going to rip it out the hands of retail. There's no way. Retail is going to sell. They're going to sell. Never underestimate the addiction to money. Once people start selling, it gets difficult after a while. If you're starting to see those dips, there will be massive dips. This always happens. So XRP hits, let's say XRP hits $10 to $13. I said this before. It hits $10 to $13. People are going to scrape some off the top. I understand that. Logical. They've been waiting a long time. They're going to scrape some off the top. It's going to be fantastic gains. And then they're going to start watching it go down. They're going to get nervous. It's going to play on them. It's going to be hard to sleep at night thinking about your gains going down. What if it doesn't go back up? That's what they're going to think. The psychology is going to start playing on them. I better take a little bit more off the top. Then they shave a little bit more off the top. Before you know it, they're shaving so much down, they just have the tiniest bag left. And what's going to happen? Those institutions are going to be buying everything in sight. They're going to be eating everything up like Pac-Man. Haka, 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 haka. They're going to be eating up everything like Pac-Man. I've seen it happen before. And the institutions have time. They have nothing but time and money to sit back and wait. And they just sit back and they wait for retail to do what retail does. Make all the wrong moves. And then institutions come in and they buy up everything and they capitalize every time. I've seen it, whether it's in the stock market or crypto, it's all the same. It's the same tactics. Same tactics. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna do you one better, because I've seen this a lot in the stock market. Those institutions, I'm telling you. Now, this is just my opinion, but it's what it looks like. Those institutions, somehow they get together. They communicate. They will all sell on you at the same time and just crush everything down. You will see a dramatic drop, and then that's when the panic really sets in. They do it on purpose, my humble opinion. And people's hearts start beating. Now they really can't sleep. They're sweating. So now they're really like, this is my last chance. XRP's going down. There's a huge crash coming on. Let me scrape some out. And then they're selling almost the entirety of their bags. The institutions did that on purpose. They brought that price down on purpose to panic you, to shake you out. Then they buy up everything that you sold at a low. They buy it at a low, only for it to skyrocket later, because all the catalysts still remain. The people are going to operate out of emotion. They're not going to operate off of the catalyst or science. No, it's all emotion. That emotion overrides everything else. I'm telling you, watch. I've seen it so many times. I'm telling you. It takes nerves of steel. And I'm not saying don't take some profit, don't scrape. No, you got to do what's best for you. You got to decide what's best for you. That's what but what I'm saying is the panic is going to be real. I think most people, $10 to $13, they're done for. They're done for. It's my humble opinion from my experience. I've seen it before. So I was in the stock market, and this one stock was going up, started out super low, shot up $10, $12. Everybody started scraping off profit. Then there was a crash down to like $6, $5. But I'm still looking. I'm like, wait, the catalyst is still here. It can go up more. The catalyst is still there. It hasn't been fully realized. The people didn't care. They got emotional. They got scared. They start just selling just to keep the profit that they had. They start selling everything. And then what happened? I lived it. Trust me, I'll never forget. Oh, that price skyrocketed so unbelievable. It was ridiculous. You wouldn't even believe. Holy smokes. So I've seen it before. It was a shakeout. It was a shakeout. It shook them. Only a few of us saw those astronomical profits because we knew. But anyway, let's continue on here. Let's continue on, everybody. All right, so now let's go here. This is another article from U.Today. Make sure you head over there, check them out, give them some traffic, okay? This article is titled XRP Mentioned in United Nations Paper on Crypto in Africa. I told everybody, keep an eye out for Africa. Listen, this is bigger. These things, these bank coins that we're holding are bigger than most people realize. And you know, it's hard for me to fathom why people are conflating and congealing the bank coins with the rest of crypto. They're too addicted to that fast money, that little money. It's little money, but they're too addicted to it. They really believe, for some reason, it's ingrained in them to believe the bank coins are like the rest of crypto. They're not. They're much bigger. This software, sorry about that. This technology is huge. That's not a joke. They don't get it. The tokenization of everything is coming, but this is going to happen in degrees. These are different catalysts that can cause different spikes in those prices. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's just being logical and using scientific methods to say that, hey, when the non-banking financial institutions have a feeding frenzy, the price could spike. When we start taking over cross-border payments, and we will because nobody wants to use SWIFT, that could cause a price spike. When we start tokenizing all the different commodities, then there could be a price spike. When we start tokenizing stocks and things like that, also, government bonds, there could be a spike in price. When we start doing interbank payments, there could be a spike in price. So you see how everything can happen in degrees? There's multiples of catalysts. When we start doing traceability for hospitals and governments, there could be a spike in price. Like, there's multiple catalysts to watch for. So that means that there could be multiple spikes. That's why I say these are the floods, not the tsunami. The tsunami is the interbank payments, in my humble opinion, and providing liquidity for any CBDCs. They definitely going to need it. CBDCs, stablecoins, they're going to need liquidity. They don't have it right now. They don't. They don't. And they're not going to leave money on the table. They're going to tokenize and back a lot of different stable coins, and which are just light versions of CBDCs. And CBDCs, in my humble opinion, they're going to back them with a lot of them with the value of commodities, in my humble opinion. That's money on the table. Listen, no wise person right now who sees the opportunity coming is leaving money on the table. So all of that is going to flow across chain. The rest of those crypto are going to get eliminated. Then you have this United Nations, not United Nations, sorry about that. Some big announcement that they're talking about making in all of these different articles on the internet. So we're going to see, what's going to happen with that? Most of the time, whenever these governments come out and they're talking about regulations, it mostly impacts the regular crypto. Regular crypto. Rosie Rios told you when she said, we're here to stay, she's talking about the bank coins, ones with utility, ones that are working with governments and central banks. Anyway, let's read this little tidbit here. XRP can fuel new generation payment services in Africa, UN report says. The United Nations Development Program, UNDP, a United Nations organization focused on supporting countries and communities in combating poverty, shared its cryptocurrency in Africa, alternative opportunities for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals paper. XRP token and Ripple Inc. remittances solutions are mentioned as useful instruments, of course. Algorand's deep in Africa. XRP's deep in Africa. Stellar's deep in Africa. Hedera's deep in Africa. Because they know what's about to happen. You think only the value of the gold, even though they're discovering record amounts of gold in Africa, you think that's all that's going to be tokenized? Africa has so much richness, it's unbelievable. And that's another reason why they've been rebelling against the IMF. They're trying to play nice, but at the same time, they've been rebelling against both the IMF and Europe. Because Africa is saying it's our time now Just like everybody around the world, I think everybody should be saying the same thing. It's our time now. But some are going to build on the chain and take advantages of the technology. Some people are not. I think the people in the West should be thinking that way. Like, I'm talking about regular people should start building their businesses and using this technology to get a leg up, to get ahead of the curve, so to speak, because a change is coming. The world as we know it now, it won't exist in a few years. It's going to be very different. You see the push happening already, whether it's from the World Economic Forum with their agendas or people on the ground and their vision of freedom. Something's going to happen. These two forces are at war. The world is about to change. Not all war has to do with boom, 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 boom. You know, not that old style. No, there's many types of war, spiritual war, mental war. Right now, you're involved in a spiritual and a mental war. And it's important to stay strong. But let's continue reading this a little bit here. Let me scroll down. Bear with me. It says, authors of the thesis analyzed one use case for XRP, i.e. using the token and payment corridors for low cost and nearly instant remittances. Per the text, XRP can bridge two local fiat currencies in a cost-efficient manner. Through Ripple's line of credit, LOC, service, a conversion between the two currencies can be organized at a locked-in exchange rate, that guaranteed exchange rate that you read about in the when you read about on-demand liquidity in the on the patent, and then if you read in the patent, it talks about guaranteed exchange rate. It says then the parties can repay the credit on a convenient schedule. I think they covered that a little bit in that video I was talking about the other day. It was an impactful video. I hope everybody watched it. It was very good. And definitely gets me excited when I think about companies personally holding XRP in escrow. And it's like, why wouldn't they? Number one, XRP is always liquid, so it's not like pre-funding. That's number one. Number two, they're going to have to use XRP. Why go through a decentralized exchange when I can just use it in a direct pathway? And I could use it in a closed ecosystem to make sure that that flow just stays consistent between me and whoever's in my network. That's it. Just us. This XRP stays right here. So we don't ever have to worry about, like, you know, look, you can program these things in any way that you want. And then you don't have to worry about the volatility, possible volatility that retail can bring. So that makes me very excited. I want them to use XRP in every possible way and get that price up as high as possible. I think it could go way higher than most people are anticipating. This is my humble opinion. Not financial advice. It says, as such, XRP should be hedged by additional financial instruments. Is that so? The authors of this thesis propose to experiment with industry-scale cryptocurrency derivatives services to let the payment processors protect their capital against volatility spikes. Also, some recommendations for nation states in the UNDP. That's another thing. Listen, that volatility, they're always going to come back to that. And so I firmly believe, even with a guaranteed exchange rate, I firmly believe they're going to snatch that out of the hands of retail. There's so many ways to do it, and it won't be difficult either. They already have mastered the art of psychology, of putting psychological pressure on the people in a myriad of different ways. They can do that just through propaganda. They can do that by utilizing certain crises going on, right? Put pressure on people's businesses, put the pressure on people, politically, socially. A lot of different things can happen. And then those social interactions, if they go awry or bad, then they cause an effect on the finances of everyone, because then that can have a massive effect on small businesses, which affects the big businesses, of course. And then, of course, then you're worried about conservation of capital. You get where I'm going with this? I'm trying to be careful on YouTube because they will definitely punish the channel. But there's a lot of different ways that they can put the pressure on the people so that now you're staring at that XRP like, wait, I'm gonna have to take a little profit. We've lived through this before. I may have to sell some. I may have to sell all. And once you get out, I believe it's firmly going to be very difficult in the future. Not now, in the future. It's going to be difficult to get back in my humble opinion. It's not to get you to buy XRP or sell XRP. That doesn't matter. Look how many banks we have coming in. This is about bank money. And I'm here firmly for that bank money. Simple as that. So buy or sell, you got to make your own decision. Okay, so now let's continue on here. Let's continue on to another article, okay? How's everybody doing out there? You doing okay? I hope you are. I hope you all are. We all go through our struggles. You know, got to work hard every day. Keep your mind, not busy, but strengthen your mind. Strengthen your mind. Strengthen your spirit. You have to feed the mind, feed the spirit, feed the will, feed and practice perseverance every single day. Keep balance. There has to be a balance within oneself. Life is difficult, but because of that difficulty, then we're able to celebrate a little bit more, feel good about our accomplishments because we knew we were worthy of the accomplishment because of how hard we had to work to gain the accomplishment. Every day is an accomplishment. Making it to the end of that day, putting in your work, not giving up, every day is an accomplishment. And you can push every day if you see fit to do so. There's different ways to push mentally, physically. Application of the will, understanding the balance. I think the mind is one of the most underutilized mechanisms. You have to exercise it, read books. That's why I did the poetry recently. It was to make people think. Poetry makes you think. Reading books makes you think. It forces you to think. Especially when there's a deep message that's placed there, but it's not so overt. It's not so easily understood. No, you have to uncover the layers. You have to piece together the puzzle. What are they trying to convey? I feel the power, but I must think and ponder on what are they trying to convey. Reading, whether it's stories, fiction, nonfiction, wisdom, poetry, it forces the mind to work. The mind is like a muscle. It becomes better and better as you work it more and more. But as I said, there's also a balance. So you must also find peace. A lot of times learning can be chaotic. It can put a lot of strain on the mind. So you must also rest. But that practice every day of maintaining the balance is important to a being to be successful, not just in getting money. Put that to the side for a minute. But being a successful being, happy being, finding peace. As you go through life, it's a strange thing. I think a lot of us find ourselves valuing what we value the most. One of the things is peace. Peace. You want to see peace within yourself primarily, but also it's good to see peace in those that you have around you, whether it's your children or your significant other, friends, if you have those. But being the architect of peace, so to speak, I think is something that we all arrive at. If you work very hard and you are on the wisdom path, you are a conqueror, a warrior. In the end, it's almost like no escaping. You must approach that door of peace. What is peace to me? Leaving behind, fighting, can do certain things. You just have to leave behind. It's just not healthy anymore. I've done boxing and MMA and martial arts my entire life, but sometimes I just want to meditate. That's peace to me. Peace. I may still do combat a little bit to stay healthy, but I need that peace more than anything. Balances everything out. Later, I can get back to studying. I want to read wisdom, words of wisdom. What did the great minds say? What can I extract from them? They left these words behind for a reason. And when I read and I take in information, it's nutritious for my mind. It becomes stronger every day. The mind never stops growing. It's always growing. So whether you're 20 years old, 15 years old, 60, 50, it doesn't matter. The mind is still growing. Just a little bit of my thoughts, random thoughts. So allow the mind to grow, thrive, be the best that you can be. No one gets to tell you that you're the best. No one. You determine that you're the best that you can be. It's found in here. You got to know in here. Try hard. Know that you try hard. Show respect to yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you you're the best. No. Just know it because you gave your all. If you gave your all, that's good enough. That's good enough. This article here is from coinedition.com and it's titled, John Deaton says the Ripple versus SEC outcome will impact all coins. I've said that for a long time. And this is why I firmly believe they should have all backed Ripple in the beginning. They should have all fought at the same time together. That's a lot of money, not necessarily pooled together, but coming at the SEC all at one time. Overwhelm them. Give them something to think about. Nope. They wanted to take on SEC one at a time. And you saw how that worked out for them. It's not working out very well. Ripple, of course, is still standing because they have such a strong backing. So this is something that in humanity is a problem. Humanity is easily fractured and tribal. But those who would conquer the world, they're not so tribal. They come from all walks of life, all people, all different peoples around the world, and they congregate together at what they believe is the top, and they dominate. They share that vision of domination, while the people on the ground, they're in this tribe here, they're in this clan here, they're broken apart and they're weak because they're apart. But if they had come together, they'd be strong and they could fend off the enemy. Crypto is like that. The people of the world, if they stand for anything, they need to put their superficialities to the side, put their egos to the side, and come together. Will they do that? Who knows? Humanity hasn't had a good record of doing such a thing. Usually just a small group of people are the ones who are triumphant in a variety of ways. Triumphant in the mind, triumphant in the spirit. Sometimes you even end up with a little bit of something in physical reality, right? But coming together is the most powerful tool that humanity has yet to utilize. Greed and jealousy is something that is terrible. It's terrible. I think a lot of these coins, they disliked Ripple and XRP for a variety of ignorant reasons. A lot of people do as well. And if they had put that to the side, I believe that crypto as a whole would be in a much better place. Imagine how much more they could have pushed if everybody were lobbying the government like all the other industries do. And I mean good people, good actors lobbying the government. Imagine how much further we would be with regulatory clarity if that would have occurred. But it didn't. It didn't. Everyone was living high off the hog, so to speak, while crypto was doing well. Even though the wise one said, hey, there's always a fall. Everything rises and everything falls. The pendulum swings equally to the left as it does to the right. And that's law. That's life. Change is the only constant. That's law. That's reality. You can't escape that. But even though the wise were screaming that out, a lot of the crypto industry actors still turned a blind eye, an ignorant eye, on what would inevitably become a terrible crash of the crypto market. And then what did the powers, the so-called powers, do? They attacked when everyone was weakest. That was a smart strategy. Smart strategy. So now the bank coins are the last ones standing, and Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin is there. How long? Who knows? So now let's go here to this article, and it's titled, this is from Coindesk.com. It's titled Digital Dollar Project Warns on U.S. Cautious Approach to CBDCs. I said the same thing. Let me not jump out the window. Let's see if they say the same thing that I've been iterating for about a year now. It says the United States may have conceded a head start to other nations in, quote, setting global standards for the future. It says here, setting global standards for the future of money regarding the central bank digital currencies. But in the future, the country should lead the development of an international regulatory framework around digital currencies, the Digital Dollar Project said on Wednesday. In its updated white paper, the DDP, that's funny, because when I think of DDP, I think Diamond Dallas Page. Bang! That's what he used to make. That's the symbol he used to make with his hands because it was a diamond and all that, all right? All right, I just want to make that clear. Like, oh no, I often even did the symbol. Like, no, listen, that's what Diamond Dallas Page, the wrestler, used to do, all right? But I used to enjoy him when he was in WCW. I didn't like what they did when he went to WWF. But anyway, when I see DDP, that's what I think about. Diamond Dallas Page. says a nonprofit organization advocating for a U.S. CBDC. More than 100 jurisdictions around the world are researching and developing a CBDC. That we know. In the coming CBDC future, the U.S. should actively lead global discussions on governance. How are they going to do that? When they've stepped on so many people's toes. Not only that, they stepped on so many people's toes, so now put those people to the side. And then the people that have come to their aid, at least they're citizens, and some of these so-called other Western countries have been suffering because of U.S. policy. Listen, I want to say this also. I think there's a big problem on the horizon between the people of the world, the citizens, the denizens, and the so-called powers. Now, there's no guarantees in anything, but what I've been seeing, listen, they've been keeping on the news, in the United States news, they've been keeping it quiet. There's been rebellions in a lot of places, right? In Germany with the farmers. Then you had that other stuff before then. It was in Canada. They had some stuff going on. It doesn't matter what it was about. But the point is, the people were going against the powers. Then you have what's going on in Brazil. All around the world, the people are starting to get really in a fighting mood to go against the so-called powers. And I think that could be a thorn in a lot of these so-called global organizations' side. I really do. I don't think the people are going to be as easy to conquer as these individuals think. I think a lot of people give too much credit to world powers. You know, they build them up to be way stronger than what they really are. When they're really not on the ground. They're not on the ground. The people have more power than they give themselves credit for. Give themselves credit for. The people are very strong in the world. The people in the towns and the cities, they're very strong. And a lot of times, the world is highlighting the negatives of the people while negating to tell everybody and remind everybody, hey, there's still a lot of good people. There's still a lot of smart people out there. From the top and the bottom. From everywhere. There's a lot of smart, strong people out there. And they've been holding everything steady for a long time. They're the cornerstones. They are the atlases that are holding up the world. So people have to keep that in mind as well. Don't just see the bad. Remember the good. Don't just see the weak. Remember the strong. We are still here. And there will always be a fight for freedom, liberation. I don't know if that came out eloquent. I don't know why. I'm feeling like a little tired now. Like, I don't know. Let's continue on here. It says the DPP laid out a series of warnings about the United States' cautious approach, calling it a conspicuous absence and an unsustainable position. Yes, but because of certain alliances, the United States has taken a step back. And I believe that one of the aims is to weaken the position of the United States. I believe that because they want the infrastructures, the legacy system infrastructures to collapse. Why? So they can institute the new systems and infrastructures. And that does include the new financial system. They want those to collapse. If they allow it to collapse, then it forces the people to accept the new system. You see? It's like it's a plan. Now, listen, that's just my humble opinion, but that's what it looks like. So they're taking that their foot off the gas, so to speak, on purpose. Okay, so now let's head on to another article here. I have so many articles. I may have to do 2 videos. So this is an article title. It's on zcrypto.com and it's titled XRP Lawsuit. Crypto law expert perfectly explains why SEC's chances of defeating Ripple are slim. And it begins here. It says more than 2 years have passed since the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission sued. Okay, so we know all that. Let me scroll down and see if we can get right to what's new and important here that they want to say. It says SEC accusations are stretched too far. Crypto law founder John Deaton has criticized observers predicting that the SEC will secure victory against Ripple and that the XRP cryptocurrency is doomed. That's insane to say such a thing when we have so many partnerships with like governments and banks. There's nobody that has more partnerships with giant financial institutions than us. No one. He explained that they are, quote, overstating the SEC's chances as the agency's claims are overstretched. Deaton cited SEC's argument about Ripple, alluding that it is a common enterprise. It's not. A common enterprise is when the profits of the investor are dependent on the success of third parties or those selling the investment. Over the course of the courtroom drama, the SEC has been forced by Ripple to admit that holding XRP tokens does not give the investor any rights in the payments company. It doesn't. Do you have any power over Ripple? Exactly. Moreover, Ripple does not owe XRP holders anything. They don't. That's fact. That's a fact. This indicates that XRP fails the Howey test. I've been saying this for the longest time. The people won't hear us though. You know, it does. You know, they don't care anymore. You know, the people that are upset, I don't know why they are at XRP for some reason. You know, none of those arguments make any sense to me. I can respect that's how they feel. They can do what they want to do, but those arguments don't make any sense to me. The founders of the blockchain payments company, and it's like when people say like, oh, XRP centralized, even though it's sufficiently decentralized, you have to know these terminology. And then on top of that, they'll say something like, oh, well, Bitcoin, you know, is the people's coin. When Bitcoin is controlled by billionaires, those billionaires and those millionaires control if that price goes up or down. And when they sell, that price goes down, doesn't it? Yeah. And then you can see the bot activity when like literally the entire market goes up when Bitcoin goes up. You think that's little money that's doing that? No. Then the market all goes red when Bitcoin goes red. That's the big money controlling Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a billionaire's coin, a millionaire and billionaire's coin at this point. So I don't know how much of a people's coin you can really call it. Just make your money. That's what I say. I say just make your money. Let's continue on here. It says, Deaton pointed out that XRP holders submitted, at least 3,000 affidavits a year. Let's go down here. Hope swells for Ripple victory. Ripple's high-profile battle with the SEC has attracted support from heavyweights in the financial industry, including America's largest crypto exchange, Coinbase, and crypto lobbyist group, Blockchain Association, that we know. 2 years later, the SEC faces a painful reckoning as Ripple bags countless procedural victories. Now, you know what's insane? I've been saying that we've been winning a lot and winning all along the way. And then I have people that say you haven't won anything. And you have here, the lawyers are telling you that there has been countless procedural victories. Victory is a win. That's what I mean when I say these things. I try not to speak anything ignorantly. I may misspeak at times, but I think the people understand what I'm trying to convey. But I try to state things based on what I have found, what I read from reputable sources. It says countless procedural victories. We've been winning along the way. We've been winning every step of the way, really. So, that's what leads me to believe that we're going to be successful and we can have a victory. It's not a guarantee. We can have a victory over the SEC. It says prevailing in the case could prove to be a boon for the XRP price, which has been in the doldrums. Yeah, that's what we've been saying this entire time. So now let's move on here. So here, a little bit of Stellar news here. This is on stellar.org. They posted this today. Let's read this little tidbit and see what's going on here. Tascom Bank, Rivnia, nominated electronic money pilot. Report recommends adoption of blockchain to transform the payment landscape of Ukraine. I told you before, I believe that everything is going to move across Stellar in the Ukraine. I think it's going to be like that in a lot of areas. Stellar for retail, I think XRP for wholesale, and a lot of other areas, not Ukraine though. They're going everything. Look, Ukraine is also a massive exporter of like wheat and grain. That's going to be tokenized. I can see the value of that moving across Stellar. Look into that. Remember they had some ships over there that were blocking exports and such like that. They're one of the biggest exporters of, I believe, wheat. So they can take that, they can tokenize that and have that moving across chain. How does that value affect XLM? If you have a mass amount of congestion, because they're going to be shipping wheat a lot, then that's a high value. XLM's used for transaction fees. If there's congestion on the chain, then that surge pricing is kicked in, right? And then every wallet, and there's going to be a lot of wallets across the world. Remember that, because they're doing aid assist also. So there's going to be a lot of wallets holding XLM. Every wallet must hold a modicum of XLM. So all of this together, how does it affect the price of XLM? And then once again, if XLM is going to serve the aspect of it that is supposed to serve as liquidity for otherwise illiquid assets, its price has to go up at some point, unless they're going to let that aspect die, and they haven't said that yet. They're going to let that aspect fall to the wayside. That would be very silly, because a lot of assets that are going to be issued on that chain can be rendered illiquid. So why would you not utilize that aspect of XLM? So if at any point they're going to access, and I think that they will, I think they're just laying low for now until there's regulatory clarity. But if at any point they're going to actually utilize XLM to provide liquidity for otherwise illiquid asset, you can go on stellar.org and they tell you that price would have to go up. There will have to be offerings that build or lend towards the building of liquidity in XLM. XLM is very closely related to XRP. We all know why. So why would it not be used in a similar way? Instant liquidity. I haven't talked about that in a long time, have they? The way that, sorry about that. The way that XLM can provide liquidity pools also, that's another thing. They're very quiet when it comes to liquidity. I get it. You're non-profit and such like that. Doesn't mean that you can't do your job. Just do your job. That's it. Just do your job. Anyway, so I keep all that in mind when I'm looking at this, right? All of that matters to me as a long holder of XLM. And like I said, it doesn't take a crazy price at this point. People are sitting on a ton of XLM. It doesn't take a crazy price at this point to see disgusting returns for a lot of individuals, not financial advice, okay? It says here, Tascom Bank, one of Ukraine's oldest commercial banks that we already know, released the findings of his electronic money pilot on Stellar Network. The report provides information of the National Bank of Ukraine and the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine on the advantages of issuing electronic money on blockchain. The report highlights the advantages of issuing on blockchain, which include greater transparency, accountability at all stages of circulation and among all participants in transactions, improved security and confidentiality of client data, low transaction costs. So all of this we know. Let's scroll down here a little bit. Let's scroll down here. So the deputy governor of the National Bank of Ukraine commented, there are still many hypotheses to study and test within the framework of pilots, but the pilot results are important material for the analysis and use in the work of commercial and central bank specialists. My goodness. Listen, with these banks, and keep in mind, Stellar has other banks that will be utilizing Stellar in the future once everything is up and running. That's a lot of volume and value. What does it do to that price? So, I mean, we're going to see, but this is going to get interesting very quickly. I hope for regulatory clarity. I really do, because then the fun is really going to begin, because then they don't have to be so constrained. They can do a little bit more with liquidity. It can do a little bit more with working with a lot of these banks and such like that openly. And it's not really Stellar's fault. It's not Stellar's fault. But a lot of these businesses don't want a problem right now where there's a lack of regulation. Right? There's a lot of pressure on them right now. It says the results of the pilot prove the key advantages of blockchain. Yeah, Stellar's one of the best. Simple as that. Stellar's one of the best. And so, I mean, if you're going to be issuing digital assets and you want to do it, it's cheaper, it's more efficient, boom. And Stellar's bringing you infrastructure. They have a lot of partners that build on the chain. Yeah. Like I said, I believe a lot of banks, central, commercial, and nations will utilize Stellar. But we'll see. I could be wrong on that. We will see. It already has begun, really. It says here, Donnell Dixon, CEO and Executive Director of Stellar Development Foundation, said, Stellar is designed for asset issuance. Asset issuance. I'm telling you, listen, The moment they start talking about tokenizing commodities over there or anywhere on Stellar, I'm telling you, keep your eye on that. That's big money, and that's consistent volume. Keep your eye on that. Sneaky, sneaky Stellar. Keep your eye on it. Says here, the findings of this pilot show the potential utility of the technology for businesses, governments, and citizens. It confirms that within an open source technology, innovators like Tascom Bank, with the support of the MDT, can configure virtual assets that are secure, interoperable, and meet regulatory standards. We believe this pilot proves the real-world solutions built on Stellar and sets the foundation for a greater adoption of virtual assets in Ukraine. Interoperability is another key aspect. Interoperability, and they're going to need liquidity. I told you these banks are doing terrible, so they're going to need liquidity. Where do they get liquidity from? At some point, you have to tap into that XLM liquidity. Somebody, look, I'm pretty sure there's so many different companies building on Stellar. So you got the Stellar Foundation, you got Interstellar, although they've gone quiet, but Mike Kennedy of Interstellar is also the leader of Velo. So you have that Velo, EveryNet, LightNet, IBM. We can keep going. Stronghold. Somebody's looking at XLM and saying, we have one of the prime liquidity tokens. We're going to use it. We're just waiting on regulatory. Somebody's looking at it like that. I'm telling you, it's big money. Why would you not use that aspect? That would be insane. But we will see. We will see. We'll continue to watch and stay privy and abreast of these situations. Okay, so now let's go here. So now we actually have a Stellar, I believe this is a Stellar article on weforum.org. You know, they're at Davos right now. Okay, so this is in reference to Ukraine as well. So it says Deputy Prime Minister of the will share reflections on the Ukrainian government's work to deliver digital public services to millions of Ukrainians since the beginning of the war through the DIA application. Listen, all of this stuff is running on Stellar. I believe that. I believe that's how it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they leave these phrasings obtuse, digital services. So when they say that, it's obtuse because I firmly believe they're going to not just be moving money back and forth, but you have the advent of digital wallets, paychecks. I said this before. You already saw Algorand's already getting in deep when it comes to paychecks. You saw Ripple also was attempting to do that. I'm not sure the results of that, but paychecks are going to be moving across. People are going to get paid. Oh, and didn't Stellar come out with an offering very recently where people could get paid? Was that Stellar or Algorand? I can't remember. But people will be getting paid over the blockchain, the DLTs. Then there's the tokenization of everything. So farmers are going to benefit from this. So they get their money a little bit faster. Traceability also is in there, if I didn't say that already. So now the farmers know where their wheat is going, where it is, how much came out. The people over there who bought it know also everything's happening in real time. Then if you have certain assets, digital assets, you can back that with whatever commodities you have over there as well. All of this is major. That's why they leave it obtuse. And they say, well, we're going to deliver digital public services. That's just my humble opinion. All right, so now let's move on here. So this is an article from Omfif, all right? It's titled, Remittances Must Go Global. Must. This is how Omfif is talking now. Remittances surprisingly resilient during the redacted, sorry about that. And inflows for 2021 were very strong, reaching $773 billion globally. Imagine one of our bank coins taking a modicum of that. And Stellar has the Stellar 8 Assist now. Come on now. That's a lot of potential value and volume flowing around the world. But let's continue on here. $773 billion globally and $605 billion for low and middle income countries. It says here, costs are still high for the average remittance, but are much lower for digital remittances, the bank coins. And in cases where people can compare multiple options as of the second quarter of 2022, World Bank remittance price data show that the average $200 remittance costs 6%. That's crazy. This is the headline number policy makers most often mention. The digital remittance index is 4.8%. The smart remitter target, SMART index, a measure of what a savvy consumer with access to sufficiently complete information could pay, is 3.4%. Almost at the 3% UN Sustainable Development Goal target. These observations are confirmed by Visa Economic Empowerment Institute modeling of card-initiated digital remittances over the last 2 years. In modeling, VEEI determined costs across several money transfer operators for 25 key global corridors and compiled 3 measures: the average cost, lowest cost, and highest cost. The average cost for a $200 remittance across all MTOs and corridors declined to 3.9% from 4.2%. That's not a lot in 2022. The average of the low cost declined to 2.1% in 2022 from 3%, a decline of almost 30%. Let's scroll down here just a little bit here. Traditional remittances must become digital. Cash-initiated remittances are the most expensive way to send a remittance, and it is perhaps worse on the receiving end. Many MTOs maintain vast cash-out networks in receiving countries, and this adds appreciable cost to remittances today. So the rest of this we know. Let me scroll down here. It says, finally, simplify the licensing process to allow remittance innovation and competition to thrive. Policymakers can also help the private sector introduce innovations more quickly and with less burden. We need regulatory clarity. That's all we need. And then get out the way. That's all we need. Regulatory clarity, then get out the way. XRP, Algorand, and Stellar XLM will handle the rest. That I can promise you. So, okay, now. Let's see what else we have here. Is there anything small? I have like 8 more tabs here. But these are hefty documents. So I may take the rest of these documents and put them into a members only video. Probably tomorrow morning I'll do that. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.